Amen. We're still supposed to say man a lot nowadays when we're playing the time. Always have like 50,000 picks if you're going to teach yourself guitar because they disappear. Especially no camouflage with black ones and black. So I'm touching one string when I'm waiting to play. After I'm waiting between the strings, there's little things like that you have to pay attention to. You can tell, teach yourself if you're just aware. So how are we gonna know? Before it's dead. You just gotta feel it, man. You gotta feel it. It's like shadowboxing too. You know, but you play with a band. See, sometimes you don't have the band to play. It's real business. So I don't know how to get that right tone, guitar, what the difference is. See, I have to memorize the fret though. I can't remember which notes are whole notes and half notes on this part because I didn't memorize this part. But just the little part I memorized. Say everything's scattered. The sciences are abridged. Then the breaching method knew that would be time treatments that would have victims only known. Force tricked her, persuaded to make time treatments, self-valuing the sciences abridged. Uses of knowledge. the experts' uses of knowledge. Nothing personal against anybody. To get over on fact, treatment, nature simultaneously too fast, too slow. Now CNN did some good reporting, and President Trump. The presidents have different strengths, and what they show is president slash chief are incompatible volumes. For the same reason, since semi-ancient times, is more probable, more practical, and more valuable to convict. To opine and theorize, let alone to convict, the sciences had become abridged. Forced, tricked, hurt, persuaded, abridged to be self-valued. That way, in other words, through defenses of themselves. So self-defending versions of the campuses and of the systems of the republic for which we stand. As humanity's volume revealed it before, sciences had become tactically, criminally foreign influence, and that forced, tricked, hurt, persuaded, everyone taking a shock, they're all legalized. Where it can't be legalized, because that is ordered by what is actually having been, actually the value of what transpired actually before, the order of the finite now. Actually what is recorded now, simultaneously relevant, and actually to come. Boxing is fun. So there is a little rap guy in Friends episode that is counter obfuscated and is counter obfuscated. It is counter obfuscated, counter hyper obfuscated, relevant to a predicate acts delivery system method that is actually recorded as a simultaneously as a criminal insidiousness nature delivery system method, as recorded, as actually recorded. Our founding parents wanted us to understand and to observe crazy slavery nature laws against every single person, witch trials, real or made up, and the parts we know that were made up, and where and how it is relevant. They wanted us to understand how everyone was forced to make things up, forced at the end of a whip, specifically to have them self-defend, syntactical syntax to defend everyone, and logic syntactically. The possession of systems tactically ulterior from that which is nature's. Reason why and how these sounds were revealed with an identity of relationship to themselves, individually grouped and together. More ways than just consonants and vowels. More ways than just numbers and letters. More ways than just through applications like with music, with chords. I don't know any chords yet. I know two fingers here or there. But I know what makes sciences discernible. And with that, we are the possession of that which is every identity of volume distinctly, but also non-distinctly. So we could see also, so we could discern also its identity of relation to itself and the value of that, and understand how it works. And where and how there is an absence of its presence that is simultaneously coupled with our awareness of this, our consciousness, and or of nature demonstrating us having regressed from awareness of it. The ancients revealed that English and the other languages with a better than living identity of relationships to them to themselves, where value is nature / nature is value. For example, they are hyper additional to, while as are human value. Further positive or negative, that how it is invisible but still discernible. anything that is invisible but still discernible is still not the hyper invisible. That which is, for example, only discernible by trying to discern its identity, for example, as that which is really having unfolded and really the value of what had unfolded as sequence truth from the past. So, know how, to an extent, we can look into time. We know there's an extent of past. We know there was, and we know how it was. There's an extent now we know is reality simultaneously, not leaving out the slightest exception. And there's an extent we don't. We know we don't too, though. So we know that about it. No. And we also know there's an extent of the future to come. We don't know the extent of how much we know about it, but we know to an extent of it. And we know that we don't know. There's more of to come that we don't know about, but we know about that too, a little bit too. No. Evolution's fruits and gifts and means. See, science reveals that we can do it, even like that's invisible or physically discernible. So it is not the identity of the hyper simultaneous, but everything has a conjunction to it, individually grouped and together. And it has an order and needs by, and means by its identity of relationship to itself. For example, as the order of the finite, distinctly from how as the order of that what is active, and as what is identity of sequence, the value of the identity of sequence nature / simultaneous nature that came before this, but still connected to and as its value. And as the value of this being its a value of its identity relationship to itself, and as Earth's a special difference, or we are forced from here, leaf of IDs, for space nature transfer. So why and how there are things like there are phenomena like harmony associated with groupings as the letters of notes. They are individually grouped and together bound per what English is revealed to teach. This is an application of it, the music. Now, it is in demonstration, for example, of how there are 1/3/5 identities of sequence / simultaneous nature, and how there are increasingly demonstrations of how there are increasingly hyper-additional exceptions to that are really just hyper-additional exceptions in demonstration of the same thing, which is also simultaneously with the hyper-relativity. And relativity are distinct, non-distinct, and simultaneously. See, the identity of the hyper-simultaneous has a non-distinct, has a simultaneous identity of relationship to itself. And that simultaneous relationship to itself also comes with a hyper-simultaneous relationship to itself. That has a direct relationship, that has an inseparably increasingly valuable relationship to and as Earth's a special difference relative to the rest of space nature. Now, no, I was one saying the phrase American exceptionalism long before everyone started saying that in the news. Note, since before the World Trade Center attack, people from Connecticut had been influenced with our side's leadership of the FBI in their defendant capacities through defendant former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and through his lawyers' involvements with what I caught them doing, a whole bunch of natures of things, distinct and readings of statutes criminally foreign influenced. Now, how they've gotten away with this, CNN confessed, recorded, demonstrated, confirmed, to an extent with honesty, that they showed it real quick. There's a readings of statutes that show that the right to lie is preserved because it's too expensive for them to go into things like that and to counter such. Which, and so but also they so they know that, but they're pretending that there's relevance of that at the school shooting locations. But because they're told to play jobs, where they have faith in other people. And in other words, we have mandated law where some of you are supposed to report simple things like child abuse as people attach me and others to fake words. They bring up complicated things. You explain it in a simple sentence. They pretend not to understand. When schools are brought up with threats, for example, credible threats. Now, police departments, courts, and political families with overt criminal enterprises and with private ones and with a whole bunch of other countries, and further with and as what has been unchallenged and increasingly insidiously / overtly fluent through that, keeping countries even use effective uses of wars to keep self-valued roles, blaming what it caused and causes and keeps on other things, others ourselves. Relevant to the relevance of the readings of statutes and of the law and of the nature of the law and of reality by lawyers also, all private tied to the interbranch, all exceptions the exception nature. Locations even next to the state judicial branch offices, next to the state prison offices, next to the campuses. There are families that have been used remotely as victim predators since founding, since before our founding parents were even born. The suburbs in the North America, in North America, South America, had been set up by that breaching method that had our founding parents also born slaves. Fact-keeping nature forced roles with colonization itself a slave, individually grouped and together. Science is tactically ulterior from the quality of fact-keeping nature that had really revealed English, that had really revealed yin-yang, alpha and omega. They're hyper-additional to each other because they are both about what is bigger than and more finite than anything can be drawn, while as the value of its volume, anything that can be made up. So humanity's volume science is one volume science one way. It distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously is itself. So in other words, how males and females are two distinct volumes are exceptions, and simultaneously slash is exception nature in demonstration of the same thing /s, which is where it is 1/3/5 identities of sciences to discern the one. Prayer is also where and how. The species body is a body of individuals. It's an individual body of individuals. Because everything is in demonstrating of how one identity of hyper simultaneous nature. became an extent of complete possession over the value of being all parts of space / existence at once, simultaneously. And there are proofs that the ancients revealed this using science. And one theory is that there was the heartbeat of Allah described. For example, as, where, and how. One hyper-simultaneous nature made itself capable of being what it couldn't be, and still be a perfect value progression, but per the way a sequence nature. It can't be it's a hyper simultaneous nature, can't make more of itself. Well, forget, in other words, I forgot where it was going. So anyway, music. All the workers on the farm. I don't know how to pick the while we work, we swing the arm. All the workers on the farm. While we walk, we swing the arm. All the workers on the farm. Yeah. All the piglets in the yard, looking for the food and searching hard. All the piglets in the yard, all the partridge in the tree. Sing along soft melody like you with me. Thank you.